Joe Biden's not done trying to stop the worst instincts of Donald Trump, especially around federal judges. And he'll be damned if he's just going to turn over 65 new federal judges created for Donald Trump. He's now, Joe Biden, threatening to veto. No, he will veto an act that originally had bipartisan support, but was stuck in the Senate until they saw the results of the recent election. And then when Trump won, they decided, oh, let's get that new federal judge law passed. Yeah, and we're not having any of that. I'm Michael Popok. You're on the Legal AF YouTube channel. Hit the blue subscribe button. And let me tell you why Joe Biden is going to be vetoing the Judges Act. Yes, it was created with bipartisan support, allegedly to try to fill some vacancies in some states that had overwhelmed court staff and needed more judges, particularly in places like California and Texas. And so Chris Coons of Delaware, Joe Biden's home state, and Todd Young, a Republican senator, got together and they put together the Judges Act, which effectively gave the right for the next 3 administrations to put 66 new, expanded the federal judiciary to have 66 new federal judges appointed. Now that passed the Senate back in August. It's known as Senate Bill 4199. And there it died while the MAGA Congress waited to see if Trump was going to win the election. And that's not fair. It should have passed in, let's say, September in the House. The bill should have been delivered to Joe Biden, and it would have given him the opportunity to fill some of those vacancies. But they didn't do that. Instead, they said, well, maybe Trump will be back and we'll get to pick up these 66 new seats or so. So here's the statement this is why I believe the Biden administration, and rightly so, is going to be opposing this. We have the Executive Office of the President, Office of Management and Budget, and here's the statement about Senate Bill 4199 and the Biden official position on it. The administration opposes Senate Bill 4199, which is an acronym, by the way. It stands for the Judicial Understaffing Delays Getting Emergency Solved Act. That's what happens when you let Congress people try to come up with acronyms. You get wordy jumbles like that. But it's known as the Judges Act. While judicial staffing is important to the rule of law, the bill is unnecessary to the efficient and effective administration of justice. The bill would create new judgeships in states where senators, mainly MAGA red, have sought to hold open existing judicial vacancies. In other words, holding them in case Donald Trump won. So in other words, how much of an emergency could it possibly be if you haven't been filling the vacancy, waiting for your fearless leader to take control again? The statement by the Biden administration continues. Those efforts to hold open vacancies suggest that concerns about judicial economy and caseload are not the true motivating force behind passage of this bill now. It's obviously to give Donald Trump an early present. In addition, neither the House nor the Senate fully explored how the work of senior status judges and magistrate judges affects the need for any new judges. Further, the Senate passed this bill in August, but the House refused to take it up until after the election. Hastily adding judges with just a few weeks left in the 118th Congress would fail to resolve key questions in the legislation, especially regarding how the judges are allocated. And the next line, the final line, is underlined. If the president were presented with Senate Bill 4199, he would veto it. Now, let me tell you why it's right. One of the things that the MAGA Congress is going to try to do is expand the federal judiciary, much the way they did for Ronald Reagan back in 1980. My gut, and I've made this prediction before, is that the MAGA Congress is going to work on a bill to give Donald Trump hundreds of new federal judgeships. They did it for Reagan. He got an extra 400 or 500 federal judges. So I know we've been following the scorecard and the math about, how many of the remaining 40 openings is Joe Biden going to be able to fill before his time is up and he turns into a pumpkin. Oh, it's down to 18. Oh, it's down to 12. Okay, that's all great. Except let's keep our eye on the prize. With MAGA being swept into Congress, even though now the House gap, the House lead is only about 2, right? Because certain Congress people became senators, certain people got pulled out of the Congress to be in Donald Trump's administration and or have resigned, like Matt Gaetz, and it hasn't been filled yet. So to start off with, they've got a very narrow, almost invisible lead where they're going to need the Democrats on major things. But if they can get it and the Democrats don't block it, which I expect them to do through the filibuster and otherwise, they're going to try to shove down our throats an additional 500 or 600 federal judges and let Donald Trump spend the next 4 years filling them. So Joe Biden doesn't want to help him out by giving him another 66. They're going to be about tied, Biden and Trump first term, in terms of overall federal judges that were appointed. Donald Trump has the lead in two places that matter, though. He appointed more appellate court judges, more appeals circuit court judges. And of course, he appointed 3 United States Supreme Court justices against Joe Biden's 1, with more to come. If the rumors of the demise of Sam Alito and Clarence Thomas are to be believed, he'll have at least 1 or 2 more, at least, during his next 4 years. So why give him the gift of another 66 or so? Let them fight for their judges. Let them fight through a narrow, almost invisible margin in the House. Let them have to compromise with the Democrats about these things, but don't just gift wrap and put a red ribbon around 66 openings and let Donald Trump take advantage of it. I totally agree with that. Joe Biden's got to do more sharp elbows before he leaves to try to put up roadblocks to stop the worst excesses and abuses of power that we can expect from Donald Trump. He's got things he can do in the waning days. He's got unlimited superpowers until January 20th at 11:59 a.m. And then they all disappear. But until then, he is Superman, Joe Biden. He could commute the sentences, for instance, on people on death row and give them life imprisonment. So we don't have federal death penalty. Could do that. It's about 40 people sitting in Indiana on death row. We could eliminate death row. Could do that. You could eliminate the detention centers and concentration camps that are holding immigrants. He could strengthen certain of the immigration laws that he's allowed to do before Donald Trump takes office and make it harder for Donald Trump to dismantle them. He could stop and ground ICE Air, which is a network of planes and transportation to move undocumented migrants around the country and out of the country. He could ground that. He could eliminate that. There's lots that Joe Biden can do. He could spend his days issuing pardons tactically, again, to protect Democrats and people who preserved our democracy, and people on the Gen 6 committee like Liz Cheney and Senator Adam Schiff and Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and all the prosecutors who went against Donald Trump and all the FBI agents that went against Donald Trump. He could do that. There's a lot he could do, but I like this. And I like the fact that they came out and said it in their statement, that they are going to reject Senate Bill 4199, which is now being considered in the waning moments of the 118th Congress by the MAGA House. They're not going to be able to shove it through, I assure you. And it's going to have to be taken up again in the 119th Congress when it gets seated on the 3rd of January. And we're here for it. We'll explain to you why this bipartisan bill, like I just did, is gone down in flames and why that's a good thing and a right thing for our democracy and our constitutional republic. I'll continue to follow it all right here on Legal AF, the YouTube channel. Take a minute. Help me build this channel with your help. I appreciate the 350,000 or more subscribers that we have in about 2 months or so, but we need more. We're an independent station, independent channel without outside investors, and we need your help. New show for me, Popok Live, Tuesday nights on the Midas Touch Network, where I sit at the intersection of law and politics. Viewing guide for me, Popok Live on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. The Midas Touch Legal AF podcast on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, all on the Midas Touch YouTube channel. And then come over here for all things Legal AF and all the new content, new shows like Unprecedented that we have over here on the Legal AF YouTube channel. So until my next reporting, I'm Michael Popok. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.